We begin the film meeting Kay Hall, who is heading to the Canadian mountains, with her destination being KRYPT Peak. After a few hours of travel, she soon arrives at the location where some other women and the guide are, who introduces himself as Copper. Kay and the other women start the hike. Kay has a camera to record the walk. They make a stop, and Copper asks how many of them are there because of the local legend, then points to a tombstone of Barn Valentine. He begins to tell the story of Valentine, saying she was a veteran in the field of cryptozoology, and adds that her disappearance is shrouded in mystery. He explains that Valentine's work was to prove the existence of creatures like Ogopogo, Yeti, and Bigfoot, among others. One of the women asks if there is a Bigfoot in that forest, and Copper changes his expression, saying it's something much worse. He then says that 3 years ago, at the same KRYPT Peak, the local guides found Valentine's belongings, a tent and a sleeping bag. But the worst part is that no evidence was found. No body, no bones, no blood, nothing, and no traces of Valentine. One of the women asks what Valentine was looking for in that place. Copper shares his theory, saying that perhaps Valentine was searching for Suka, a tall, thin humanoid covered in long, dark, tangled hair. Kay seems to believe the entire story, as she appears serious and concerned throughout. The guide states that the first documented sighting was in 1925, made by a truck driver who saw Suka, but managed to escape. Copper jokes, saying the creature looks cute, and everyone laughs except Kay. He tells them not to be fooled by Suka, as it can mess with space-time. They continue walking, and while everyone follows together, Kay stops, observes something in the distance, and begins to walk away alone into the forest. She walks for a few minutes and finds a piece of red fabric hanging from a tree. The woman does not react and just keeps going. As Kay moves deeper into the forest, she finds another piece of the red fabric. She stares ahead when she hears some voices. Then, she takes her camera out of her bag and starts recording. As she focuses on the corner of a tree, she encounters Suka. The creature begins to invade her mind. Something leaks from her ears, and her eyes appear lifeless. When the creature touches her, we see that Kay is running desperately through the forest. Fortunately, she manages to escape. Meanwhile, the other women wonder where Kay is and how she got lost from the group. We see Kay entering a bathroom in the middle of nowhere and washing her ears. She tries to process if what just happened really occurred. Kay returns to the group, and Copper says he will make a call, starting to call the women one by one, and when it's Kay's turn, she hears but remains still. Copper asks once more if she is Kay Hall, and the woman just stays there, unable to respond. All the other women think Kay is playing a tasteless joke and wonder where she was during the first call. Copper dismisses the remaining women, and Kay remains frozen. She begins to walk again but continues hearing voices. Kay seems unaware of what is happening. Even finding her car is difficult, and when she does, she gets in and appears puzzled. While rummaging through her bag, she sees her ID and doesn't seem to recognize herself. She then decides to leave the place. Upon arriving home, she looks at her ID again, appearing to be someone else. She enters the house suspiciously and asks if anyone is there. The next day, the woman wakes up, searches for something to wear, and soon begins walking around the house. She truly seems to be another person, as everything appears completely new to her. Kay then starts rummaging through things and finds a poster about the trail at KRYPT Peak and soon sees some photos. She sits at the table and begins looking at the pictures, but something doesn't seem right. So she decides to check the recordings from her camera, and when she does that, the phone starts ringing. She answers and asks who it is. A man introduces himself as Dan. He seems to be her boss, but Kay doesn't appear to recognize him. Dan asks if she can come to work that afternoon, as no one else is available, and reveals that the mother of a patient is in severe pain and needs an extraction. Kay assumes it's dentistry, but when she arrives at work, she finds out it's veterinary. Her co-worker Bruce soon appears beside her, and she asks why he is covered in blood. When the man begins to speak, the woman finds all of this strange and quickly leaves the place, returning home. During the night, Kay begins to browse a website about supernatural things, conducting various searches and looking up Barn Valentine. She finds a missing person poster with her face on it, and now everything becomes even more confusing as Kay looks like Barn Valentine. She wonders what is happening, but there's no time to think, as she sees the shadow of something grotesque outside her house. Kay quickly rushes down the stairs and hears the windows breaking. She runs to her car and hits the road. Kay drives for hours down the highway, and when she is speeding, she suddenly wakes up, and it's daytime. She wonders how that is possible, and when looking at the car clock, she realizes it's already 3 in the afternoon. She decides to leave that place, and on her way back, she hears on the radio about some legends in Canada. The man comments if the disappearance of Barn Valentine has any relation to Suka. Kay is now determined to search for Barn Valentine, so she goes to a hotel near the mountains. Upon arrival, the owner of the establishment, Sally, soon greets her and recommends some tourist spots for Kay to visit. But Kay says she already has a goal in mind, looking for a friend, and mentions the name Barn. Sally soon recognizes and states that she is the monster hunter who disappeared. Kay fills out the paperwork, goes up to her room, and starts looking for more information about Barn Valentine. In her research, she finds a documentary of Barn talking about Suka. Barn says that people have been hearing many buzzing sounds near Blue Lake. Kay notes the information, and at one moment in the podcast, Barn looks directly at Kay. The woman is so intrigued by this that she jumps when Sally knocks on the door. Sally invites Kay for a drink, and the two soon begin to drink and chat. Kay says she doesn't know why she is doing this, and Sally says she is very happy that she passed by there. She asserts that Kay is special, and Kay responds that at that moment, she doesn't feel special at all, just wanting to escape to somewhere. The woman laughs and says it must be liberating to roam around aimlessly, but she adds that something touched Kay, and now she can no longer run away. Then Sally starts to say some nonsensical things and sings a song that tells Kay to stay. In another scene, we see the same place where Kay made contact with Suka and someone wearing that red cloak on top of the mountain. We then return to Kay, who falls asleep, but soon wakes up and gathers the courage to grab her laptop. She continues her investigations about Barn and finds a video of Barn's husband pleading for her to come home. Seeing the man's face, Kay closes the laptop and later decides to say goodbye to Sally. But when calling her, she gets no response and leaves the money for her stay, continuing on her way. Kay travels to KRYPT Peak again, and after a while, finally reaches the location. The woman begins to enter the forest in search of answers, but now she is afraid because she knows the legend is real and walks cautiously. She goes to the place where she first encountered Suka, but doesn't need to go very far because something appears in front of her. Kay gets startled and backs away as this something reveals itself to be a woman named Stara, and this time Kay introduces herself as Valentine. Stara then asks if Kay is also looking for Suka. She says she knows because everyone he touches has the same scent. Kay asks if she has seen Suka as well. The woman laughs and says she will show Kay whatever she wants, just asks her to follow. Kay is now in Starla's cabin in the middle of the forest and sees various research materials of hers. Then, Starla offers Kay a drink, which she soon accepts, but upon drinking, she feels a bit unwell, and the woman merely laughs. Starla decides to show some things to Kay, soon displaying a notebook with various images of this creature. Starla says that whatever it is, beast or spirit, everyone can see it, but it manifests to few. The woman asks Kay if she has experienced any bodily secretion, and Starla says something came out of her ears. The woman states that this is wonderful and shows it in the notebook, calling it residue from the megacosm, but remarks that it smells like male secretion. Then, she says she found a portal from where the creature emerges and shows the exact location to Kay. Starla goes to fetch ice cream while Kay fiddles with the notebook and finds a photo of a girl, and Starla says that it's her daughter, Diana. She recounts that 10 years ago, she was moving to that area when she stopped on the road, and Diana went to urinate in the forest and never returned, which leaves Kay shocked. Kay asks how it happened, and Starla says it was Suka. That day, time stood still, and she says that now all she does is try to find Suka to look for her daughter. Then Kay decides to show her recordings to Starla, and the woman is thrilled to see the creature in the footage. Kay asks if Suka can make people forget who they are, and the woman responds that the creature thrives on the madness of its victims. Kay begins to feel ill and have some visions with Suka and that same character in the red cloak. They invite her to join them. Kay faints and wakes up on the couch in Starla's house. She calls for Starla and gets no response, discovering that the woman took her camera. So she grabs a flashlight and decides to go out to look for her. Kay begins to walk through the forest in search of the woman. While searching, she bumps into a girl who asks if she is okay. Kay replies that she is fine, just lost the trail. The girl says the parking lot is just a few meters away, and soon asks if she is scared, saying that everything will be fine. When Kay returns to reality, she realizes she is alone and decides to head to the parking lot the girl mentioned. While eating, she sees a wall with several missing person posters, including Starla's daughter. The owner of the food truck asks if she is okay, and she replies yes. Kay asks where she can find a motel to sleep, and the man tells her to follow Road 6, and she will find one. The next day, Kay sees another report of Barnes' husband, who is now a vocal lawyer doing various charity work. The reporter asks Barnes' husband how he would describe her. He says his wife was kind, formidable, caring, and very intelligent. Kay, tired of it all, decides to go out a little for a drink and meets a drunk woman at the bar known as Gigi. They quickly become friends. Then Kay starts talking to Gigi, who asks what the woman does for a living, and she replies that she hunts monsters. Gigi finds that amusing and invites Kay to dance. While they dance, Gigi starts telling Kay to look for Jonette Delaney, as she knows the truth. Kay decides to leave, but first she stops in the bathroom, and we see the color of her eyes change. Soon, she attacks a woman next to her, and many bizarre things start happening until the woman faints. The next day, Kay follows her new friend's advice and goes looking for Jonette Delaney. She is met by Jonette's son, named Sasha. Sasha thinks Kay is a social worker and says her doctor stated it's okay for her to smoke as it helps with her anxiety. Kay says she is not there for that. The young man says that Kay looks familiar. She introduces herself as Barn Valentine and states that she is a monster hunter. Jonette's son asks Kay to come in to speak with his mother, who soon appears. Then, Kay introduces herself as Valentine to Jonette and asks if she knows anything about Suka. The woman outright refuses to speak, as everyone who passed through there considered her insane. But her husband convinces her otherwise, and Jonette agrees to talk more about the subject. She says that Suka tried to invade her trailer and shows the marks on the window. When she called the police, they said it could be a bear, but Kay disagrees, asserting it could not be. Jonette insists it was Suka, a creature with a large mouth and giant hands. Kay believes the woman, which makes her happy. Kay takes some notes, and Jonette's husband invites her to spend the night with them, which she ultimately accepts. Kay takes the opportunity to have fun and observes Jonette arguing with her son. Sasha decides to go into the forest, and Kay follows him. Sasha plays a trick and scares her. Sasha apologizes for the prank and invites Kay to a place. Kay says they can't treat Sasha that way, and he replies that his mother hasn't always been like that. After her encounter with Suka, everyone started to think she was crazy. Sasha changes the subject, saying he never thought he would see Barn again and that Barn had been missing for a long time. Sasha tells Barn not to worry, as his secret is safe with him. For a moment, Sasha's face takes on a demonic expression. He says that people like them need to stick together, and Kay doesn't understand. Sasha explains that they are special. Kay does not attempt to understand Sasha and falls asleep beside him. Shortly after, she tries to leave the place, but the residents won't let her because she is too drunk. Jonette's husband convinces her to go with him, and they have rather strange sexual acts. We see it's a disgusting process, and Kay, or Suka, ends up killing the man. When Kay wakes up, she finds the naked body of the man writhing in pain. She decides to leave, unable to believe it was her who did that. She searches for something in her car but finds nothing, which makes her very angry. She soon hits the road again and sees a woman in white running toward her, who soon reveals to be herself. She manages to swerve the car, but soon after, she sees no one else. The next morning, Kay is walking on foot through another town and ends up going to Barn's house. She knocks on the door, and then Barn Valentine's husband comes out. The man hugs what he thinks is his wife, but little does he know he is inviting evil into his home. Morgan takes Kay inside and bathes her, stating he won't ask questions. He claims to be happy with his wife's return. Morgan suggests forgetting everything and tells her they can start over. Kay says nothing, just listens to everything. Morgan tells Kay that there will be some gossip in the neighborhood and asks her only to smile and wave as if nothing has happened. Morgan is choosing a dress for her, and Kay finally says something and asks if she can wear a specific dress. This makes Morgan happy, as it brings back a memory of when they went to Barcelona, and he laid his head on her lap. While he says how much he missed her, she looks at his ear, which has that same white slime from before. She gets a bit frightened. Morgan takes Kay to the garden and says they need to get back to their routine until the neighbors arrive and ask if the rumors are true. Morgan goes along with the plan, smiling and saying it is true. While Kay observes the pregnant woman's belly, instead of the woman's hand, she sees a huge hand stroking her belly. As Kay is not the real Barn, she asks who those people are, and Morgan responds that it's the Robinson family and says they are having a little boy. Kay, with a serious face, says that's why the woman looks half dead. She comments that it is as if a parasite is feeding on her and states that this is disgusting. Morgan is shocked by his wife's behavior. When he notices his wife's hand, he realizes she cut herself and takes her inside. Later, Kay is preparing dinner, but she can't stop hallucinating, and everything seems strange around her. She and Morgan soon have their dinner, and Kay asks if Morgan remembers their honeymoon. He replies he does, and she says it was the best day of her life. She comments that she started to taste a bitter flavor in her mouth and that he began to act strangely, and says they both became monsters. Morgan asks her to calm down. Kay says that's why she is always running away, as she sees Suka everywhere, and Morgan asks her not to have any more fantasy outbursts, as that's why their marriage almost ended last time. Later, while Morgan is in the shower, Kay hears noises and decides to check on her husband in the bathroom, beginning to have a distorted vision of him, but soon lies down to sleep. Morgan soon joins her in bed. He tries to engage in sexual acts with the woman, but she feels as if the creature is touching her. And when the two begin, Suka starts to feed on the man, and to prevent killing him, Kay bites her own lips to make him stop. Kay moves away from him and begins to act strangely, and the man gets frightened too, asking her not to hurt him. Suka almost kills the man, but somehow Kay manages to stop it again. Morgan gets irritated and says she pays more attention to the monster than to him, and Kay goes to a room where she finds some drawings of Suka. And while she fiddles with the things, Morgan enters the room and begs her not to leave him again and says he will change. She ignores him and goes to the garage, tries to leave in the car, but Morgan breaks the car window and stands in front of it, saying she cannot leave. Suka soon takes control of the woman's body and coldly runs over the man, leaving him bleeding on the ground. Kay gets out of the car and begins to drink the blood of the man's body, and Suka continues to manipulate the woman's body to commit those macabre acts. And we see that everything she does with Suka in the other world, she also does to Morgan, soon tearing out his tongue and starting to vomit a white slime. Kay becomes completely naked, finds that red cloak in the garage, and decides to put it on, slowly distancing herself from Morgan's body. Suka, possessing the woman's body, decides to hit the road and goes to someone's house, breaking in, but the person manages to escape. Kay takes the map of where everything started and decides to return there. She places some flowers near the piece of red fabric, and something draws her attention. She soon heads toward an intense glow, and the film ends with Suka staring at the portal.